Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. It's Tuesday, it's Blast from the Past day. Well, as long as I seem to think it's working okay anyway. Now the video I found this time features a plant that I still have a piece of. It's not the same plant that you'll see in this video, but it is effectively. It's a plant that was at that stage growing quite nicely and had just come back from a show with an award. That plant then grew on and the following year got best in show. After that it got divided, and I think it even got divided again later in time. But anyway, it also shows two plants that I couldn't possibly grow now because of my temperatures. But in this video I had three plants that had gone to a show the day before, or very recently, and they all got an award, one of which was I didn't deserve, but having got it I couldn't really get out of it, if you see what I mean, because it went down in the notes. But anyway, it just shows me three awards, including a plant I've still got, and yeah, a chat about some of the reasons the awards were not perhaps firsts, and the things that went wrong, and in one case was my fault, and in the other case could be deemed somebody else's fault, out of my control. And also there are a few friends mentioned which in those days I didn't know that well. There's a guy mentioned that grows very good Cattleyas and Cymbidiums. That's my mate Brian, who is now helping me, yeah, and chatty, and yeah, we get on great. He usually puts on a separate display at some of our shows, depending on how much he's got in bloom. And the other friend mentioned is Alan, who, you know, you've heard me mention many times, and I've filmed his grow spaces as well. So, him and Sue host our summer garden party. Yes, so there was a mention of people that I was getting to know in those days, because I think this video goes back to, I forgot to look it up before I did my intro, but it's either 2016 or 2017. I'm starting with those years, those old videos, and as time goes on we'll creep forward. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. It's just a look at three plants and a chat about them, and their visit to the show that they had. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Okay, I'll get this bit out of the way before I put the plants back where they go. These three plants got something in the show. I'll go into it. This was naughty. This was not taken in as part of the competition. This was actually put in the general display, you know, things of interest and stuff like that. You'll see that in the show vid when I get there. But that received a Cultural Excellence Award, which it shouldn't have got because I haven't owned the plant 6 months. But people make mistakes, and you know, there was no name on the plant. They couldn't come and ask me, although the people who set up that display knew full well it was actually mine. They could have pointed somebody at me. But anyway, that got a Cultural Excellence Award, which shouldn't be me. That should be Chantel, the person who grew it. And she didn't really grow it, she imported it, so it should go back to somewhere like Taiwan or Thailand to get that award given to the right person. But anyway, that was that. This one got a second, got a nice little ribbon for my Cattleya. A point. There's a guy there he belongs to both the Orchid Societies, and he grows excellent Cattleyas. Well, he actually grows excellent everything, but he sort of tends to err down the side of Cattleyas and Cymbidiums, and his plants are stunning. And although he wasn't judging, he had his own individual display of his plants showing his seed pods, because he does a lot of crosses, and then he sends the seeds off to somewhere else to get them processed and
produce little plants and all that sort of stuff. And like he said, you get 1,000 seeds, you might only get one plant that's any good. But he likes producing the seeds and sending them off and getting them dealt with. But he came up and commented on this plant, and he said, I'll give you a tip, Roger. In the UK, orchids are just another plant. And he said, I can see you've had to support your blooms. He said, that is because they lacked potash in the autumn. And I looked at him and I said to him, I know that, but I haven't ever applied it to orchids. I said, I grow bonsai trees outside, you know, and my knowledge of that is quite extensive. And basically, high nitrogen feed in the spring. You can ease off that in the summer a bit because they stop growing a bit when it gets too hot, like some of our orchids do. And then in the autumn, you drop the nitrogen down and increase the potash. Why do we do this? It hardens the plants off, ready for the winter. That's what you do. And he said, well, you just need to do it to your orchids as well. He said, what fertilizer do you use? I said, MSU. He said, yeah, that's got quite high nitrogen in. That's good stuff. It's really well balanced. But come October time, it's the wrong fertilizer for your orchids. You need to get that nitrogen down and get the potash up, and it puts strength into the plant for the UK winter when they're not going to be growing much. You know, we all know that. If you live in the UK, your orchids slow right down, if not stop in the winter. But the potash hardens them off. And he said, the little bonus you get on orchids that you might not see in your bonsai trees is the intensity of the colour in the blooms gets better. He said it does marvellous things. Give it a try when October comes round, and I will. The other point of order, several of the judges, a couple of friends came up and said, your Cattleya would have been a first, but some of the other judges marked it down. I said, oh yeah? Why? Because of that. Simply because of those marks on the leaves. Now that's residual marks from one of the sprays that I applied, either the Bravado Systemic Bug Killer, which I have used extensively, or the fungicide. One or the other, or maybe even both. But my plant didn't get a first because of those marks on the leaves. So when you're setting up for a show, you know, you pay great attention to your blooms and you're proud and everything like that because you've got a good blooming on that plant. Don't forget the plant. There's some points go for presentation as well. But both orchid societies I belong to both judge on BOS rules. That's British Orchid Society rules. They are a set of rules. I think there's something like 40 points. And a fair few of those points are for the plant, how well it's been grown and all that sort of stuff. You know, are there damaged leaves and things like that. It's not just the blooms. So that's my fault for being careless. And a previous video that I posted explains a little bit of why there was a bit of carelessness, because I got the day of the week wrong. Anyway, this one, again, the class, yeah, was Dendrobium hybrid. It was extensively populated. There were a lot of plants in it, so much so that somebody, to get their plant on the table, picked my plant up and did that to it. Now that's bloody naughty. It may have been a judge moved it, I can't say definitely, but that was its presentation front, and I put some work in to get that right. Also, on the back, comment by probably the same judge as marked the Cattleya down, spray residue on leaves. It's important to get every single bit right when you show, or it certainly is when you're using BOS rules. But nonetheless, given that the Dendrobium delicatum was a tremendous specimen plant, absolutely deserved its first place. To come second to that, I'm over the moon. So Prima Donna did its thing, and now it can go back out in the grow room and carry on doing its thing for months and months and months to go. So yeah, I had a good day at the show. very enjoyable. Met some great people, reacquainted with a few I haven't seen for a while. Quite a few from the Bournemouth Orchid Society were there as well. It's quite a nice social gathering. And what I like about the Wessex one is they have a team of people that take, because it's held in a school hall, they take over the kitchens and all the food's homemade. Lovely homemade cakes. And I had I had the special soup, because a good friend of mine came up to me and he said, hey, do you like Stilton? I said, yeah, I like most of the blue cheeses. He said, right, I'll put something to one side for you. Do you normally have the soup for lunch? I said, yeah, I usually have soup and a couple of rolls, you know, fill a gap. And he said, right, I'll get some. We had some Stilton in the fridge that was coming up to its date, and my missus made some Stilton and broccoli soup. And he said, there's only enough for like 4, maybe 5 portions, so do you want me to put you down for one? I said, absolutely, and it was delicious. So I had the special, yeah, get to know people. Yeah, so that was the results. I'm pleased. I wasn't expecting much, I must admit. A little disappointed that that one didn't get its first through my own negligence. I'll know better next time. And very pleased that on a table of a lot of plants, in that Cattleya class there were 4 plants, so only one person didn't get an award. You know, so you know, everybody did pretty well, but in this class there were a lot of entries. To come second in that class, I was over the moon. So Prima Donna did its thing, and I was right. That was the only yellow dendrobium that I could see that was in the competitive element. Yeah, they're nearly all whites and pinks. So we did okay, and I had a great day. That's the important thing. I had a good day out. That's what shows are about. And I met a couple of YouTubers. That was good. People came up and said, hi, I'm so-and-so. I comment on your vids. I love all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Okay, that's that one done. I'll get the show vid done sort of later. And part of that, as you watch it, I did go over this Cattleya class quite carefully. So I actually filmed all 4 plants, you know, from the blooms down through the plant with their ribbons, and ended up on my one. So you can see what it was up against, basically. And quite honestly, in the competition class, there were some absolutely stunning plants. And the best in show, it should have had 2. It should have had 2 awards, best in show and even better in show, because it was so good. But we'll have a look at that a bit later on. That's going to take me a while to put together. It's lots of little tiny clips. I've got to get them in a certain order and faff around, and then try and find some music that doesn't blast everybody's eardrums out and all that sort of stuff. So that's liable to be the end of the day, and possibly even tomorrow. I'll see how I get on. But a good day out. Fun was had by all. Some great food, some great company, and some absolutely stunning plants. That's what it's all about. Okay, bye for now. See you next time.